Hey, welcome back. Today, what I want to do in this micro sermon is a little bit different. I want to talk about the movie The Matrix. The movie came out in 1999. It was a sci-fi kind of blockbuster hit. I saw it when I was in college. Saw it a couple times after that as well. But I watched it for the first time since becoming a follower of Christ, and it was striking to me the parallels that are there spiritually that I saw as a believer and what I saw in the movie. And I don't think that was, again, their intention when they set out to make the movie, but it's pretty cool. If you're a follower of Christ, I encourage you to go back and check it out. It's a 2 hour flick. It's a good movie, anyways. But to look at it from a spiritual context, it was really eye opening to me because in the movie, human beings that existed in the future, have been enslaved by artificial intelligence. And in order to keep them enslaved and unaware of the fact that they're being harvested, they are infused mentally into a simulated reality, into what's called the Matrix. And there are certain people that are outside in the real world that are trying to pluck people out of that simulated reality and bring them into the real world. And I thought, what an incredible depiction of evangelizing in this world, right? People that before they become a follower of Christ, you don't know what you don't know, right? You are chasing after the world belongs to the enemy, and you're doing your life and you have certain thoughts and you're thinking that you know what's going on, but then when Christ pulls you out of that, he gives you a new set of eyes, he gives you a new life spiritually, and you see things completely differently. But when you look at evangelizing, going into that matrix, those people that were risking their life in the real world to go back into the matrix to pluck people out, that's evangelizing in a dark world. That's essentially what we're called to do. And there's a passage in the book of Acts. This is Jesus talking to Paul. And he said, I'm sending you to them to open their eyes, to turn them from darkness to light, and from the power of Satan to God, so that they may receive forgiveness of sins and a place among those who are called to be sanctified by me in faith. And I thought, man, that is exactly what's going on. It parallels perfectly with the Matrix. People inside of the Matrix don't know that they're in the Matrix. They need somebody to go in there and tell them. Otherwise, they just live out their lives and they don't see it. So as evangelists for Christ, as we tell people, it's our job to basically tell people and show people that truth that's been given to us. Why God chooses some people and not others, and why he does certain things in certain times, I don't know. That's God's business. We're not required to understand exactly what God is doing. We're required to be obedient to the call that he's put in front of us. But there was two takeaways that I wanted to hit on. Number one, if you're a follower of Christ, you have to look at people who are not, and instead of judging them and instead of having contempt or trying to beat truth over their head with the Bible or with anything you think is going to be effective, you're being called to just love on them. Just love them and show them the love of Christ in your life. Let them see that you love differently. Let them see that you're a good friend, that you're a good husband or a good wife, that you genuinely care about them, and that you seem to be really into this thing that you've committed your life to, right? And that's Jesus. Let them know. Always be prepared to give a testimony as to why there's joy in your heart. Tell them that joy is in my heart because of Jesus. But don't go in there with an agenda. God's going to do what God's going to do. Our job as followers of Christ is to love people where they are and not judge them and not put them in contempt. The other side of it is, too, on the flip side, for you as a follower of Christ, the parallels with the movie is that once you've been shown that truth, there is no going back. Neo in the movie was Mr. Anderson inside of the Matrix, and he got plucked out and realized he's actually Neo. Neo is the real person that exists in the world, in the real world. Mr. Anderson was a simulated, it was fictitious. He didn't exist. It was just a manifestation of the artificial intelligence creating this inside of his mind. And so if you're a follower of Christ, if God is, for whatever reason, called you out of that darkness, you need to let the past go. The Bible describes it as your old self dying and you're beginning a new life spiritually through Christ. And so don't hold on to the baggage or the sin or the regret or the experiences that were in your life prior to that conversion. Those things are gone. think of it as like having a funeral. Like those things die, and therefore you don't need to be worried about them. You don't need to be held back by them. You are a new life. There is no condemnation for those in Christ Jesus. You are given a new awakening, a spiritual life, which you can now live out for the rest of your time here. And I think that's important to remember that, and remember that, why are we here? We're here to serve Jesus. If Jesus opens your eyes to his truth, he does it for a reason. Everything that God does is intentional. If you're a follower of Christ, it's not on your own merit. You didn't do anything to earn that, but there is a purpose behind it. And so just like in the movie The Matrix, Neo was called out so that he could free all these other minds that were stuck in the Matrix unknowingly. And you, if you're a follower of Christ, have been called out spiritually to truth in Jesus Christ for a specific purpose. And your job right now is submit to that calling, submit to that truth, and then go. So if you haven't seen the movie in a long time, go check it out. There's all kinds of other parallels as well, like Morpheus is essentially John the Baptist, paving the way for the one to come. Jesus, obviously, has parallels with Neo. You got the whole spiritual warfare thing. It's the most clear depiction of spiritual, the agents inside of the Matrix that are fighting a war to keep people from being aware of their surroundings, aware of the truth. I mean, it's spiritual warfare 101. And so someday I'll do a full-blown micro sermon on spiritual warfare, and we can hit on that a little bit more. But I'm running out of time here. I did want to just say, again, when you are saved by grace through Christ, your eyes are open. You see things differently. So it was humbling and exciting and fun for me as a follower of Christ for the first time to go back and see that movie. And if you are a believer, go check it out again. It's a lot of fun. It's a good flick. And if you're not, if you got questions and you want to hit me up, please do that. I'd love to be a resource if you want to bounce some ideas around. So take care out there. I love you guys. I'll be back next Sunday.